Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're doing Week 11 Mailbag. Like we do every Wednesday episode of the show, we have our mailbag from our listeners. If you want to get in on that next week, go to Instagram.com/fantasyfootballprophet. Comment on our post there that we put up every Tuesday. You can email us at fantasyfootballprophet@gmail.com or go to YouTube, youtube.com/fantasyfootballprophet, and comment on our latest videos there as well. But let's jump into this thing, Jeff. All right, let's see. What do we got here? All right, let's start off. Just some sit questions, I guess. Gary has ranked these three tight ends. We got Dan Arnold, Tyler Higbee, Dawson, Knox are the options. So let me I should pull up some schedules. That's always a good thing to know who these guys are actually playing, right? All right. So Dawson Knox is playing against the Colts. Tyler Higbee are they even playing? I don't think they're playing.
No, they're
off, right? Yeah. And so, and then Dan Arnold is playing against San Francisco. So it's Dan Arnold or Dawson Knox.
No, I mean, I think this one is Dawson Knox. I assume you would agree with me, but Dan Arnold has been playing very well. He's been getting the targets, but the matchup and the talent level are both with Dawson. Is he all the way back, though? It's hard to tell after last week.
I really like the targets that Dan Arnold's been getting. I know it should be Dawson Knox, right? Okay, and I'm probably going to say Dawson Knox first. And even if I was ranking all three of those guys all year, I'd actually go Dawson Knox, Dan Arnold. Higbee would be my third, like in rest of season ranks too.
I would be too, yeah.
So that's probably how I'm ranking them. I'm really interested in Dan Arnold. If he does another week like he's been doing, just really solid numbers, 60 yards, 4, 5, 6 catches, something like that, he's going to move up. He's becoming more consistent. He hasn't done any touchdowns yet, anything like that. But yeah, it's still Dawson Knox because of what he did early on in the year. So Knox, Arnold, and then if it's rest of the season, Knox, Arnold, Higbee. That's where I'm at with that. Yeah, I'm really interested in Dan Arnold though. He's if you've been really hurting that tight end, maybe you had Gronk get hurt and you've been trying random guys, I think Dan Arnold's a safer option. People might go to like Tyler Conklin because of the 2 touchdowns. Dan Arnold to me is just safer because of the targets he's been getting, and I'd like to roll with that. All right, Kasprowski says, who would play on the flex? Jalen Waddle, Ramondre Stevenson, or Antonio Gibson?
Ooh.
So,
well, I think right away you can take out Waddle, or do you? Or
no. I'm with you. I'd probably take out Waddle. And then it becomes between Gibson and Stevenson. Stevenson is so interesting. I don't think you can do it this week because you don't know how it's going to play out between him and Harris. Until I see what that is, I'd have a hard time playing Stevenson, even though I'd love to play Stevenson.
If Damian Harris is out for another week,
then Stevenson.
Then it would be Stevenson, no doubt.
It sounds like Harris is back.
Yeah,
practice,
he should be back.
So So because of that, it's probably Antonio Gibson against Carolina for me. Stevenson's playing Atlanta, which would be a great matchup. I just don't know how they're going to use him. I don't know how it's going to play out. And you can't trust the Patriots on using anybody, even though they've been great. So, yeah, it's going to be Antonio Gibson for me.
Yeah, I don't completely trust Antonio Gibson
No,
either.
I don't either.
I mean, he comes back and he does score 2 touchdowns.
But it was
24 carries and 64 yards. He has never really had that breakout game yet. But he does have the upside. And Carolina has been, up and down lately.
Yep.
So, yeah, I would go Gibson. Unless for whatever reason they ruled Harris out, then I would go Stevenson.
All right. The 401 Pizza Legend says, do I start DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Cooks, or Michael Pittman? So if Hopkins comes back this week, he'll play Seattle. Brandon Cooks will play against Tennessee, and Pittman is playing against Buffalo. What are you thinking here?
This is interesting. I probably, if Hopkins has the clean bill of health, is Murray coming back this week for sure?
I would think so. There's no talk right now on it. We don't know, but I would think so.
Arizona has a lot of moving parts, but if those 2 guys are healthy, I would go Hopkins and then I would go Pittman, even though he's against Buffalo. But Buffalo is a very difficult place to play. Like, I think they're the number 1 defense against the pass. That does scare me a bit. Like if Hopkins is still banged up or Murray's not starting, if it's still Colt McCoy, I go Pittman anyway. But that's how I would think about it.
Yep, I'm going Pittman.
Regardless.
Yeah. Okay. I don't love the matchup necessarily.
I'll say Buffalo has been real rough.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's see here. Holden Baker. Who are you going to start this week? Emmanuel Sanders, Jacoby Myers, or Darnell Mooney, who I'm still disappointed and angry at because he scored points for him against me 2 weeks ago, which I hated. All right, let's see some matchups here. Jacoby Myers playing against Atlanta. Emmanuel Sanders is playing against Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And Darnell Mooney, if I can find Chicago's schedule here, is playing against Baltimore. So Sanders, Myers, Mooney, man, I don't know. I'm very interested in Darnell Mooney and how he's been coming along, but it doesn't feel like the right play to me. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. It feels like, okay, I have a feeling, I know how this is going to play out. Emmanuel Sanders is going to be ranked like higher, I feel like, in consensus ranks, but something, I don't trust him.
He really hasn't had that good of week 7 was a bye. After that, 0 receptions on 4 targets against Miami, which should have been a good matchup. 4 catches out of 8 targets against Jacksonville, only turned in 65 yards. And then against the Jets, 2 for 2 for 27. So going against Indianapolis, being a little bit of a better team, does that actually help his stock? It's a very confusing time for him. I don't trust Fields at this point, but Mooney has really been coming on.
I think I want to play Mooney. I do, even though I don't think it's how the real rank's going to show that way. The consensus, but for me, I think I will.
I agree with you. I'm kind of going, usually I wouldn't go out on a limb like this, but I'm going on right a limb. Now I am, because he's coming off a bye, but even when he was against San Fran, 6 for 9, like the targets have consistently been there, and I would much rather lose out on that because unless Emmanuel Sanders has a 2-touchdown game,
I don't necessarily feel this is like going out on a limb too crazily, because Sanders and Myers aren't special either. Like they're just not. So I'm fine.
Myers, I don't even I don't put him in this conversation.
So I pulled up consensus ranks. Here we go. Emmanuel Sanders is 28th. Mm-hmm. Myers is 37th, and Mooney's 47th. We're way different.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm very surprised.
I'm going Mooney. I don't care.
Yeah, I am too. I'm very surprised about Jacoby Myers. Why? That's who they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
That's very weird. I mean, he just got his first touchdown. I mean, I don't get it. Even when he gets, he's gotten a lot of targets before, and he's just nickeling and diming it down the field. I don't think there's really upside with him. And I realize they're going against Atlanta, but still. All
right, Brady Spaghetti, half-point PPR. He says, are you starting Gaskin? He says, I know, Jeff, I hate having to resort to him. Yep, true. Alex Collins, Deonte Foreman, or Miles Sanders if he were to return. I don't think it matters even if he returns. I think Gaskin's the play. Playing against the Jets. It's Gaskin.
I would agree.
It is. It's Gaskin. Don't think too hard about it. It's Gaskin. Yeah. I don't like it, but it's Gaskin.
It's got the best matchup, and those other guys are, they all have something you can nitpick about.
Yep. All right. Cap G4 says, should I trade Joe Mixon and Cordero Patterson for Stephon Diggs? And I'm going to say no. I don't know the context of your team, but I'm going to just right away. I'm going to say no. I don't think I'd even trade Mixon straight up for Diggs, let alone throw in Patterson, even though Patterson's hurt possibly, but. Yeah, I want the Mixon side.
Yeah, I would too.
All right. Arthur Myers says, should I trade Devonte Smith for Mike Williams and Devonte Freeman? Devonte Smith for Mike Williams and Devonte Freeman. Freeman doesn't do much for me. Mike Williams has been disappointing
lately.
He has Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper at receiver right now, so whoever this is his third receiver, but he gained another running back. I don't know who his other running backs are. I just can't see a scenario where Freeman matters to you. But he could. I mean, they did just release Le'Veon Bell today, so we know Bell's not going to be a factor, but that means probably Latavius Murray's back and could be. It just depends on what do you feel about Devonte Smith and Mike Williams, because I don't know. Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't think Freeman really matters to me in this deal.
Yeah, I think I would stick with Devonte Smith.
I think so too. Mike Williams has been extremely disappointing for me.
Yeah, and I realized he started off very, very fast. If it was someone a little bit better than Devonte, I'm sorry. What running back are we talking about?
Devonte Freeman.
No, it is the other Devonte.
Yeah.
Okay, Devonte Freeman.
Yeah.
If it was someone a little bit better than that, I would agree with you. I don't know. Maybe if you desperately need a running back, I guess that would be the question, is where do you actually see him fitting into the offense moving forward? Because the last 4 weeks, he has been usable.
Yeah, he's usable. If you're that desperate, maybe. If you really need a running back, like you've lost everybody and you need to play somebody in, I'm probably okay with doing the deal. Because Mike Williams, Devonte Smith, it's not that much of a difference. So maybe if you need the running back, you do the deal. You get that guy you can fill in. If you've missed out on, all these other pickups like Stevenson, maybe Jeff Wilson this week, and whoever, Deandre Johnson, all these guys that were filling in. If you've missed out on everybody and you really just need somebody, Freeman's he's a top 30 running back. He's not, when you look at the ranks, he probably is. So, yeah.
Okay. I will say one more thing too. If you look at the schedule, no idea, but if you're heading towards the playoff or a playoff push, which I assume you are because you're asking this question, I do like Devonte Smith's schedule so much more. He does hit New Orleans this week. That is not going to be good. Like, my guess is not good. But then the Giants, the Jets, you have a bye, Washington, Giants, Washington again, depending on how many weeks you go for. At this point, I still think he probably has the most upside to make your team better. I would look to fill in another way. I think I would keep Devonte Smith.
All right. Kasprowski again asked, any defense you recommend streaming this week? There was a few. We talked about it on the waiver wire episode of the show yesterday. There was quite a few decent defenses. I'd say Miami playing against the Jets is a really good one. That they've been solid. They're probably solid. If the Browns are out there playing against the Lions, go ahead and try to get that one. Those are probably the top ones to me. Dolphins, Browns, if they're there for you. I like those ones a lot.
I think it was
Carolina, if they're out there against Washington.
I'm trying to think of who was the one. I was trying to think. There was one in particular that I think they shot up, but was it Tennessee?
Oh, Tennessee, if they're out there. Yeah, they're playing Houston. Yeah, Tennessee would be the one. Yep, you're right.
They're
Tennessee.
playing Houston, and then you play New England, then you have a bye, then Jacksonville, Pittsburgh.
Tennessee.
There's no one that scares me. They can be used in a lot of weeks moving forward.
Yep. So Tennessee for sure. Tennessee, and then, like Miami, Cleveland, if they're out there.
So for whatever reason, Tennessee shot up 36%.
There you go. Yeah.
But they're still only at 44. I don't know how that's possible.
All right. In Rod we trust, Hurts or Wilson rest of season?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It is. What we saw from Russell Wilson right away was not good. Man, I'm probably going to say Jalen Hurts. He's been pretty good fantasy-wise most of the season. He just continues to do it. And honestly, I think he's been a little better just overall as a quarterback.
Look, I would agree with you, and it's going to go into – first of all, I don't know how that finger is going to hurt Russell.
Yeah,
I love Russell.
I don't like it.
But I don't want to take that shot at it. And also, I just talked about the schedule for Devonte Smith is the same thing as Jalen Hurts. He's going to have a lot of opportunity to be a good scoring quarterback. Yeah. So I would go with Jalen.
All right, Gary Ebert, another question here, says, better dynasty stash, Terrace Marshall or Nico Collins? Marshall was, I think, the better prospect. He hasn't really done anything. Nico hasn't done much either, to be honest. It's probably Marshall for me.
Yeah, as a stash, I like them both. I really do. Yeah. But I think that there's probably more upside to grow in Carolina right now. Houston is such a dumpster fire at the moment that Nico Collins not only has to kind of prove himself, which he has yet to do. He has all the attributes, all the talent in which to do it. But you still have to find a quarterback. You still have to do a lot of things. At least Carolina is kind of just a quarterback away, and he would be in the top 3 rotation. So I think I like him a little bit better.
Walsh JA6 says, would you hold on to Calvin Ridley? Honestly, in redraft, probably not.
In redraft, no. I already dropped him in one.
Yeah, I don't think there's any sign that he's coming back this year.
Even if he does, he was disappointing anyway. And, he has to do what he has to do. That has nothing to, I don't want it to sound like I'm bad-mouthing him there, but he wasn't that good.
Obviously there's something affecting him.
Yeah, and that team is very...
They're whatever. But
look, they're...
I would say if it's a keeper league, you hold on to them. If you you do, because you just probably do.
Yeah.
If it's not, in Walsh's thing, I'd probably tell him drop him.
Yeah. I'll pick him up.
All right, AK to NWA. Who is a good running back for the rest of the year to try and trade for? I lost Derrick Henry and need a replacement. So this is tricky. It depends on
first of all, you're not replacing.
No, you're not going to replace Derrick Henry. So I'm not going to go at that because you're not going to get a level of player like that. You're not getting. I mean, there's really no Henry replacement, but it's the level of player would be McCaffrey, Cook, Jonathan Taylor, Chubb. You're not getting those guys, right? Most likely in the deal. I would aim lower and just try to get guys that are still that are easier to obtain, and you don't have to go as much. You're not going to replace the guy, so you just try to go get guys who have been playing well. I don't know. To be honest, there's just not a guy out there that's like, oh my God, I have to get this guy. It's honestly not that. I still think James Conner's a good option because he keeps producing, and he shouldn't have to command much in a trade necessarily yet. He's still
who's going to give him up at this point, though?
Well, it depends because people could have him as James Conner could be on teams where he's an extra player.
That's true.
Very much. If that's where I'm saying, like, if you get like a James Conner who's an extra guy, like a third or fourth running back, but you'd have to give up probably a decent player, which would feel like a lost trade in a way because whatever you have to get, it's just going to feel like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. I don't really think there's anybody out there that I'm like, you absolutely have to get this guy. I think you go for like a James Conner who somebody could have as an extra. There's just Leonard Fournette, to be honest, has a decent schedule coming up, I think. Which again, another guy that's down there that maybe you could get. I'm looking because it's too much to try to get these bigger guys. It just is. I'm sorry. It's hard.
Yeah, I would be. I mean, first of all, you throw out anything if you can get one of the bigger guys, good for you. I don't know all the situations of the team. If you can't get those, which we assume, then you would start aiming at people like Melvin Gordon, who has been very solid, even though he's in a tandem. You know, if you have him, you feel really good about it, but you don't feel like, oh, I have to hold on to him. He's a league winner, but he'd be great enough for your team to kind of fill that void. Him and Michael Carter, once again, I'm not overly excited about him, but I do think that they can produce enough to keep you afloat.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard, and I don't know what other teams need. You find if you're wide receiver heavy and you have good receivers, go find a team. Just go find the team that needs a wide receiver, and then look at what they got and try to see if you can make a deal. You're not going to replace Derrick Henry. You just got to try to fill in the position. That's what you're looking at this point. All right, here we go. Final question.
Here's one more.
Yeah.
Guys that have been hurt for a very long time and their teams are probably sinking. The thing, if you're only in a redraft league, there's not a lot you can offer, right? But someone like Saquon, do you expect him to get healthy and play?
He could. Like, he's somebody that maybe a team that's like 9-1 right now could like just take a flyer on and throw him on their bench if they have an extra guy to get rid of. Maybe that 9-1 team has James Conner and they were like, hey, I don't even need James Conner. I'm going to trade him and get Saquon from you. Who knows,
And what about Chris Carson? Now he's coming back, so it's bad timing, right?
That offense looked bad, so I got to see something from that offense. They probably need Chris Carson to make that offense work a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get carries, but the question would be because they know he's coming back, his value has bounced back already, probably.
Yep. All right, we're going to end this thing with Brother Coffee Bean. He says, I have acquired Jared Goff recently, so he has another quarterback. Sorry for your loss on getting Jared Goff. No, I'm just kidding. He said, which would be who should be my quarterback too? So it is 2 QBs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Teddy Bridgewater or Jared Goff? Bridgewater,
yeah.
Jared Goff is, believe me, as a Lions fan, Jared Goff is absolute garbage. I would not want him to start for the Michigan Wolverines, man. I'm good with Cade McNamara over Jared Goff. Okay, that may be a little far, but it's not that far off. At least McNamara doesn't throw too many picks.
Yeah, Craig thinks a little too highly of U of M, a little too lowly of Goff. But either way, I agree. Right now, there's just no reason to start Goff.
I would definitely start him over Peyton Thorne, though. Definitely would.
Mr. Butterfingers over there.
But, all right, here. Then he also asked, what is expected for Claypool's injury? If he does return, what will his value be like with Rudolph under center? It looks like Rudolph could still start this week. Claypool, I believe, it looks like he's trending to me to play this week. It sounds like he's going to return to practice. He could play. But then what's his value with Rudolph? Not good. Rudolph wasn't any good either. Rudolph's Jared Goff level, but maybe worse. And I don't want to play any of those receivers with Mason Rudolph. I don't. I mean, Deontay Johnson, you're going to play Deontay Johnson probably. I don't think I want to play Claypool if we have other options. But here are his other options. So if we go, let's go to receivers. He has Julio out. Claypool might play. He has DK, so you're playing DK, right? So you got that one in. Other options, though. So will you play Claypool? Kadarius Toney, Michael Gallup, Randall Cobb, Jerry Jeudy, Hunter Renfrow, or Claypool.
Yeah, I mean, I think Honestly, I think I'd play like 4 of those players over Claypool.
I think I play in quite a few of them. I mean, if you just want to be safe, Hunter Renfrow is solid.
Renfrow, Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy for sure,
I'm already blanking on who else was on there.
Let's see, the Randall Cobb now.
No.
Wait, is Jeudy even? Are Denver playing this week? Who's on bye this week? I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, you're right.
Denver's on bye, right?
All right.
Yeah, so no Jeudy. But I'm still playing Hunter Renfrow.
There's 2 other guys.
Kadarius Toney.
Tony and
Michael Gallup.
Yeah. Tony, I would rather take the flyer on Tony, to be honest. I realize that I might lose on a couple points, but I'd rather do it.
I'm probably playing Renfrow, Gallup, and Tony over him.
Yeah, I would
not
too.
Cobb. I'm not playing Cobb over him.
No, not Cobb. And Jerry Judy's on bye, so
I don't know which one. How would you rank those guys? Renfrow, Tony, Gallup.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Who does
Renfrow?
Who did the Giants play?
The Giants play Tampa. So that's
you have to throw it, right?
But Tampa, their secondary is not great.
No, I was gonna say that's fine. Yeah. I don't mind that matchup. And Dallas plays.
Dallas plays against, if I can pull it.
They play KC.
KC, okay. And Renfrow, Raiders play against Cincinnati. None of those matchups scare me.
No. Here's the interesting one is Gallup, because we really haven't seen him play a whole lot lately.
Yeah.
If that turns into a shootout, he could be really interesting. If I had to pick.
Okay.
Oh my God, Hunter Renfrow is actually.
I say if you want you want to get a safe option, Hunter Renfrow is the option. If you like, hey, I'm just going to go all out this week, maybe it's Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
That's where I'd probably leave it. Yeah. If you just want to be safe, dependable, Hunter Renfrow's that.
Never thought I would be like, Hunter Renfrow is a good option right now, but he really is.
Yeah, he's solid. So, yeah, there we go. Week 11 mailbag. We're getting down to it. Only 4 more weeks of the regular season here.
Yeah. A little shout out to Craig, by the way. On Fantasy Pros, he was the number 9. I'm sorry. Number 9 expert in week 10.
Keeping my hot streak alive.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. It is
close to the top 10 overall this year.
Yeah.
Except
closing in
except at tight end.
Yeah.
Don't listen to my tight end advice, I guess, is the. So sorry about the Dawson Knox thing earlier. You probably don't want to listen to me. I'm terrible at tight end for some reason. I don't know what's going on there. But all right. That'll do it for today. Talk to you guys tomorrow.